श्री गणेशाय नमः। ओम श्री सरस्वत्यै नमः। ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। सच्चिदानन्दरूपाय विश्वोत्पत्त्यादिहेतवे तापत्रय विनाशाय श्रीकृष्णाय वयं नुमः। श्रीकृष्णाय वयं नुमः। वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं। कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं। मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे परमानन्दमाधवं। परमानन्दमाधवम्। ॐ वाङ्मे मनसि प्रतिष्ठिता मनो मे वाचि प्रतिष्ठितम् आविराविर्म एधि वेदस्य माणिस्थः श्रुतं मे मा प्रहासीः अनेनाधीतेन अहोरात्रान् सन्दधामि ऋतं वदिष्यामि सत्यं वदिष्यामि तन्माम् अवतु तद्वक्तारमवतु। अवतु माम् अवतु वक्तारमवतु वक्तारम्। ॐ शान्ति शान्तिः शान्तिः। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पाद शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं। शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। श्रीकृष्ण गोविंद हरे मुरारे हे नाथ नारायण वासुदेवा। जिह्वे पिबस्वामृतमेतदेव गोविन्द दामोदर माधवेति। हे कृष्ण हे यादव हे सखेति। हे कृष्ण हे यादव हे सखेति। हे कृष्ण हे यादव हे सखेति। Supreme Consciousness Bhagwan Krishna, in the verse which we last saw in the last session, verse 51, is giving us the next level of achievement which this person is going to achieve once this person follows the life, or once a person follows the life of Karma Yoga. Karma Yoga means the knowledge of Karma Yoga which Bhagwan has mentioned. Once somebody lives this life of Karma Yoga, the achievements which this person is going to reach or attain is what is Bhagwan explaining in the verse 50, 51, 52, 49, 50, 51 and 52 actually. So you see with every verse Bhagwan is taking the achievement to the next level. what we need to understand as a basic thing when Bhagavan is explaining this is that they are these steps of achievement, different levels of achievement which a person is going to achieve once the life of Karma Yoga, or a life filled with the knowledge of Karma Yoga, or every action guided by Karma Yoga is led by this person, is acted upon by this person and in his or her life. So we'll read the verse again. We had taken and most of the meaning in the verse 51. We'll take some more portion was left which I'll cover, and then we'll move to the next verse. In the verse 51, Bhagavan says, or the shloka 51, Bhagavan says, Karmajam buddhi yukta hi phalam tyaktva manishinaha janma bandha vinirmuktaha padam gacchantyanāmayam. Karmajam buddhi yukta hi phalam tyaktva manishinaha janma bandha vinirmuktaha padam gacchantyanāmayam. Narayan. In the last session we saw two words which we picked up to highlight was ye buddhi yukta te manishinaha. So Bhagwan is giving us a call to all of us, irrespective of what you have done till now in your life, irrespective of how you have lived your life till date, irrespective of how you have led your previous lives also, it doesn't matter. Now you have got the opportunity, you have got the chance to come up to this life that you can develop this knowledge of Karma Yoga and live and lead a life of Karma Yoga. And such a person Bhagavan is calling Buddhi Yukta, and the same Buddhi Yukta Bhagavan is calling another word called Manishinaha. I picked up these two words in quite detail in the last session. So Bhagavan is telling all of us, we must cultivate an art, we must cultivate an habit, we must cultivate a nature where our life and actions in our life are well thought after. Thought after means all of them are completely covered with the kind of knowledge we have. Every action in our life sprouts out of the knowledge which I have gathered through education, through cultural education I'm talking about, through spiritual education, and through different kind of experiences in our life. The guiding force behind our every action should be the knowledge which is given at a cultural level or spiritual level, and the corresponding experiences gathered around it. That's why Bhagavan says, I told you this word, Manan Shilvan. Manan Shilvan is the person who actually thinks, takes in everything not the way it is being seen, doesn't take everything or react upon everything the way it is shown to that person, takes time, grasps it, corresponds it or correlates it with the knowledge which is there with that person, and come up with a thoughtful action. That's why I told you that person's life is not a reactive kind of a life. Reactive life is not something which our scriptural or spiritual sciences are advising. Bhagavan is making very clear call to us. You are a human being, live like a human. Human being has been given this faculty called intellect, which is a different thing versus the other beings in this creation. Other beings, I told you in my verse 47 when I was explaining, they go after impulses. They go after how their thing has been pre-programmed. They can react to situations in only a particular way. Why? What is missing in them? Intellect is missing. The intellectual capability is missing in them. They don't have an intellect to sit back, think and come up with a reaction, but just come up with an action. But whereas we human being, we have got this super faculty called intellect. But alas, how many of us uses it diligently, uses it to its capacity is a different thing altogether. That makes one person different from another one. That's why Bhagavan is saying we all have the capability, we all have the ability, We only have to turn towards it. And this is exactly why Bhagwan told Arjun before, or Buddhau Sharanam Anvicha. And when I was explaining you the BMI chart in the last session, I told you, from the BMI chart itself, please understand, we must work towards making our intellect powerful enough so that mind doesn't go after impulses and only after fulfilling the needs and requirements of the body. Mind is not overtly attached to the body. Mind, even though fulfilling the needs and desires of the body, which are legitimate enough, which are good enough for a human being to lead, which doesn't go into nishiddha karma at all, which doesn't go into adharma at all, while fulfilling that need, that is only one small portion of this life. But there is a bigger achievement using this body. Using this body, the mind should train itself to surrender unto intellect, which is what Bhagavan said, Buddhau Sharanam. Surrender unto intellect. Which intellect? That intellect which is equipped with the knowledge of Karma Yoga, equipped with the knowledge of spiritual knowledge or spiritual sciences, equipped with the cultural knowledge of Sanatan Dharma, where Bhagavan is telling us how we all can easily escape this creation, can easily realize and make an effort to escape from this cycle of birth and death. That's exactly what Bhagavan is calling us. At least come up to the level of carving out an intellect which is powerful enough to control mind driven in an action which is bound with knowledge, filled with knowledge, corresponds to the knowledge gained. Mind doesn't go haywire. Mind doesn't go here and there, and then we have to firefight at the end because it's fallen into trouble. Bhagavan is telling we all must work hard to become Manishi, and those Manishi, Bhagavan is saying, they are the one, those who are the Buddhi Yukta are the one, I will call them Manishina, because they are so well balanced in their life. They lead their life. They just do not live their life by chance. For many of us, I'll tell you, every day of life is like, by chance, living by chance or living by accident. But this person, no, it's not, when situations are thrown at this person rationally thinks where it is coming from, and it is coming from somewhere. I need to act in such a way. What is coming is not in my control because they are coming from my past action. But what is in my control is that how I act through these situations so that I can make my future safe, secure and stable enough, and also ensure that I invest enough in my next life so that whatever bad situations are coming in this life, at least I am able to stop them from coming further in my coming lives. That's the kind of life a Manishi lives. Bhagavan says, what is the beauty of such a person who lives as a Buddhi Yuktaha? Bhagavan says, such a Buddhi Yukta, such a Manishi, Karmajam Phalam Tyaktva Janma Bandha Vinirmuktaha. These two things Bhagavan is highlighting in this verse 51, which is a level above, a notch above than the previous verse, but where Bhagavan said, Buddhi Yukto Jahati. There Bhagavan said this person crosses over. This person gives up here. Ubhe, Sukrita Dushkrite. These two, which are like good deeds and evil deeds, gives up here and reaches a level of perfection, of art of perfection in action. That's why Bhagavan was giving a call there. Arjun, I highlight this point that you must make an effort to enjoin yourself to Karma Yoga, because Karma Yoga is the most beautiful way, is the art of living in this life. While living in this life, while acting upon this life, in the middle of this mumbo jumbo of life, you have the ability to cross over. Both Ubhe Sukrita Dushkrite, both the good deed and evil deed, which I said Punya and Papa, which translate as Sukha and Dukha inside our Antakarna. In this 51, Bhagavan is taking one notch above there. Not only this person living the life of Karma Yoga gives up the sukrita and dushkrita, not only gives up the good and evil deeds and the punya and papa arriving from them, and not only gives up the sukha and dukkha, the happiness and sorrow arising from those actions which have already been done. This person, while living here itself, karmajam phalam tyaktva. One way to look at life is that yes, this life is whatever we are receiving is coming from the is the result of is the actually fruit or result of our actions done in the past, right? This person, while living here, stops this chain, stops this cycle, stops this vicious chain of receiving, doing, receiving, doing, receiving, doing. That's exactly what life is all about, right? That's why Bhagavan highlights this word here, karmajam phalam tyaktva. Whatever, this person and gives up all the fruits of action. All the fruits of action which are born out of karma, karmajam, born out of karma. And what happens while giving up the fruit of action? After giving up the fruit of action, this person moves ahead and becomes free from this bondage of birth forever. Means, even though there may be karma lying in this person's sanchit karma, which are yet to give result, but this person, through this effort of making a consistent effort of living the life of karma yoga, is able to give up all the fruit of action here itself. And by giving up fruit of action that way here itself, this person is able to move ahead and reach the penultimate level of Janma Bandha Vinirmukta, able to give up the bondage called life, free this person from the bondage of birth and death forever while living here itself. Means this person guarantees that this person will not receive any further birth and death at all. Doesn't have to go through the birth and death at all. What happens to the karma or sanchit karma which are there, which are yet to give the fruit of action? That's not this person's worry at all. That Bhagavan's Karma Yoga has an ability to take care. There are many ways to look at that, but I will not cover it up here. When Bhagavan explains it, I will pick it up there. There are many Prakarana Granthas where they talk about what happens to the Sanchit Karma of a Mahatma, of a realized saint. There are explanations there also, but we will take it up when the right time comes up, when it is picked up as a normal course of Bhagavad Gita, teaching itself. Bhagavan says, what happens? Janma Bandha Vinirmuktaha, giving up the bondage of life while living here itself, so that this person cease to take any further life at all. Where does this person go after death then? Padam Gachanti, Anamayam Padam Gachanti, goes and achieves a level, a state where it is free from all kind of disturbances and problems. Anamayam Padam Gachanti. The word mukti, in one of the podcasts I mentioned, there are many kind of muktis which our scriptures talks about, Sanatana Dharma talks about. One kind of mukti, the actual mukti, the literal meaning of the word mukti is becoming free. The one who's mukta. Mukta means free. Free means what? Free from coming back into a cycle of birth and death, which is what Bhagavan is saying, Janma Bandha Vinirmukta. But when we say mukti, the way people understand mukti in common parlance is that mukti is when somebody dies. But when somebody dies, they don't become free, by the way. They just leave this body, leave this place to go and reach some other place. But the life and birth and the cycle of life and birth continues. Where Bhagavan Shankaracharya ji in Bhajgovindam says, Punarapi Jananam, Punarapi Maranam, Punarapi Janani Jathare Shayanam, Ihasansare Bahudustare, Kripaya Pare Pahi Murare. Bhagavan Shankaracharya ji in Bhajgovindam says, Ihasansare Bahudustare. It's very difficult to escape oneself from this creation. Very, very difficult. Why it is difficult? Not that the creation is made difficult. We have created such a web of our karmas around us over the past lives, and this life also we are continuing to do that. Escaping from the web created by ourselves itself is so difficult. It's such a thick web which we have created, and then how do we think we can escape? That's why Bhagavan Shankaracharya ji in Bhajagovindam says, Iha sansare bahu dustare. It's very difficult to escape this creation. That's why when Bhagavan says, Arjun tasmat yogaya yujyasva, Bhagavan says, if you think while doing normal action or the action without the attitude of karma yoga, you can escape this cycle of birth and death, sorry, that's not going to be possible. Bhagavan says in Bhagavad Gita itself, no, Mama Maya Duratyaya. Crossing over my Maya is extremely difficult or close to impossible is the word I'll say. But I'm not saying impossible because Bhagavan is given the technique here. So it's not impossible, but I'm saying close to impossible means very, very difficult, extremely difficult to cross over. Here Bhagavan says, Padam anamayam padam gachanti. This person attains the state or level which is anamayam, which is free from all kind of disturbance. Disturbances comes from where? From our own karma only. Dukkha comes from our own karma. We may feel that so and so is inflicting dukkha on me, but actually so and so is only seem to be a pratyaksh cause or physical cause of doing that, but the actual cause is not them. They are only the tool of giving that. But does that mean that the person inflicting pain is free? No, they are creating their own karma to receive in the next life. That's how the cycle of birth continues. So here, when we use the word moksha or mukti, I have told you before also that one realization is called the final realization, which is mukti according to the spiritual sciences or Sanatan Dharma, where we say Jivan Mukta, who are free from birth and death. Jivan Mukta, Janma Bandha Vinirmukta, what Bhagavan is saying. Another level of mukti which we call about in our Sanatan Dharma is where somebody gets Vaikuntha Loka. Vaikuntha Loka or Brahma Loka we call it. Brahma Loka, Vaikuntha Loka, Shiva Loka, Devi Loka, Saket Loka, they are all the same. In the sense they all come under the category of Brahma Loka. I have explained to you, I'm just touching the point here because Bhagavan Shankaracharya ji also used for Padam word, Paramam Vishnoho Mokshakyam. I also brought up a mantra from Katho Upanishad, which is Prathama Adhyaya Tritiya Valli, the 9th verse, 9th mantra I brought up in the last session. Vijnana Sarathir Yastu Manah Pragravahan Naraha Sodhanaf Paramapnoti Tad Vishnoho Paramam Padam. So anyway, I'll come to that point what Bhagavan Shankaracharya is bringing where I left the last session. So one level of mukti is when somebody attains Brahmaloka. So the karma is so good, really done lot of tapas, lot of hard work, lot of bhakti to attain that loka. Then below that loka is other loka called Swargaloka and all these Gandharva Loka and all other loka we call about. Okay. Swargaloka itself, you will see that it is the way it is mentioned in our Sanatan Dharma scriptures is that it's full of happiness and a long period of happiness. But remember, Swargaloka is not a permanent loka. Nobody attains Swargaloka forever. It says, our scripture says, Chine Punya Martya Lokam Vishanti. Till the time you have enough Punya, there are certain Punyas you have which cannot be given in this earth. Cannot be given in this loka of Prithvi, cannot be given in Prithvi loka, means there are some punya you have gathered which are so high that you have to have a long period of happiness. For that, achieving those happiness, the jiva goes into Swargaloka. But Swargaloka person falls down on after once the punya is over, according to whatever is the next karma, that person will fall back. That is one of the reasons why I mentioned to you before also. It's very difficult for many people to grasp and understand, and there are still some people who come and ask me questions about that. that how is it possible that after getting a human life somebody falls into lower life. So that, see, this is all set up in such a way that it's completely dependent on your karma. So in karma, if Swargaloka itself somebody achieves and falls down once the punya is over, once the merit is over, falls down into earth, this Prithvi Loka, then just tell me, the one who's living in Prithvi Loka out of some punya or balance of punya and papa here, or punya and pap here, where after that equilibrium goes out of balance and the pap increases and punya goes down, will definitely fall down into lower lokas. What is so difficult to understand? You're not able to understand because out of fear that everyone of us fears when we look back at our karma. I hope I have not done some karma that I don't even get human birth in the next life. It's out of fear, but accept it. Whether we accept the fact or not, whether we know the truth or not, truth prevails. It is going to remain the way. It has got nothing to do with our understanding. If we understand, it's good for us. If we don't understand, too bad. It's our this thing. Only when we get tossed into different lives, then we'll realize, oh, this was us correct only. But my point is, Swargaloka down, they are all temporary lokas, which is like punaravartan lokas we call it. They will, people or jiva will go come back depending upon how their karmas go in the Manushya Loka. But the loka higher than that, Brahma Loka, I am saying because I am using the word mukti here, because Padam Gachanti Anamayam, when Bhagwan Shankaracharya ji uses very beautifully this word. So I need to make you understand the difference of what is the common prevalent understanding in the current world today. So Brahmalok or Vaikuntha Lok or Shiva Lok or Devi Lok or Saket Lok of Bhagwan Rama, they are all fall under the category of Brahmaloka. The difference between Swargaloka and Brahmaloka is, in Swargaloka, depending upon your punya and pap, you will fall down. Okay? But in Brahmaloka, you won't fall down like that. The person who attains Brahmaloka, why it is also termed as so-called mukti, is that person gets the ability to stay in the Vaikuntha Loka till the end of this creation. So this end of this creation is now so many years left. Only when the creation ends or the creation goes into pralaya, creation means I'm talking about this entire thing. See, I'll use this word, pralaya means when Brahmaji's lifetime ends, that's when this whole creation will go into Atyantik pralaya. Pralaya also I spoke about or differently in a different episode of my podcast. When this whole creation goes into pralaya, that's when the jivas who are in Brahmaloka, who while living in Brahmaloka have not attained mukti, means not attained the final realization, and what Bhagwan is talking about, they will all go back into unmanifest state, and when the creation manifests, they will come back depending upon their own set of own bundle of punya and all. Of course, they will be born in words like Satya Loka, Satya Yuga and all those things. I'm not coming to that much detail, but realization is far above that. Now, when Bhagwan Shankaracharya ji brings up, when I read the Bhashya last time, I stopped at this point and I related that to Kathopanishad mantra also, because there also they say Sodhanaf paramapnoti tad Vishnoho paramam padam. Bhagwan Shankaracharya ji has picked up the same meaning of padam from there and put it up in his Bhashya here, where from that mantra of Kathopanishad itself, Bhagwan Shankaracharya ji says padam paramam Vishnoho. But what the beauty of Bhagwan Shankaracharya ji is, he did not mention an Brahmaloka here. He said padam paramam Vishnoho mokshakyam. That's the word he coined there. He says the ultimate realization is when one attains the final state of Lord Vishnu. Paramam padam. Final state of Lord Vishnu means one becomes one with Bhagwan Vishnu. One becomes one with the Supreme Consciousness. becomes one with Bhagwan Narayan. And he used the word mokshakyam, which is what is termed with the word called moksha. Okay, rest all is mukti to an extent, like Brahmalok is also mukti. You are getting free from here, from this earth, but you are going to stay there, and it's till the end of creation. There also it is said Vaikunt Loka and Brahmaloka and all, or maybe Brahmaji is taking class, or somebody is taking the same session like Bhagavad Gita, Upanishad and all, somebody is taking there. Those who realize there becomes free, those who don't come back, and they are the one who are born as Mahatmas and all others in the creation, because that's where the knowledge is coming from, right? So Bhagavan Shankaracharya ji says, Padam Paramam Vishnoho Mokshakhyam Gachanti. The final abode, or the final realization, or the final state, which is mentioned as the supreme consciousness, the ultimate Lord Narayan, Lord Vishnu, that is the place where this person Gachanti. I used two ways to understand the word Padam. One I used is Padyate Asmin, that where one reaches after making an effort. After walking means after making an effort, after doing sadhana, after doing all the other things related to, after studying scriptures. One post effort where one reaches, that is also called Padam, and Padyate Anena, by which one reaches, is also called Padam. That's the beauty of Sanskrit. So here we can say that this person, after doing all the sadhana, this seeker, after doing all the sadhana throughout his or her life, reaches that state, Anamayam. Then Bhagavan Shankaracharya ji says, Anamayam means, Bhagavan Shankaracharya ji has translated, Sarvo Upadrava Rahitam. Sarva Upadrava Rahitam. Free from all kinds of Upadrava, all kinds of terror, all kinds of problem, all kinds of disturbances. Rahitam iti artha. That's the meaning of this particular word. There are two things I will highlight in this portion before I go to the next portion of Bhagavan Shankaracharya ji's Bhashya, which I told you in the last session that I'll pick it up in the next session. Bhagavan Shankaracharya ji says, Janma eva bandha. I want to highlight, that's why I'm bringing back to that particular point. We must remember, Janma eva bandha. Life itself is a bondage. Birth itself is a bondage. Janma eva bandha, janma bandha. That's why it is called Janma bandha by Bhagavan, how Bhagavan is coining it. Tena vinirmukta jivanta eva. The one who frees from it. Manishi or buddhi yukta, who becomes free forever from it, and through effort while living here itself. Jivanta eva. Janma bandha vinirmukta santaha. Santa word comes here to highlight this portion, that remember, this person is not becoming free after death. This person is becoming free while living here itself. This person has been able to make himself or herself free while living here itself. That is the reason. Now I will go to the next portion of Bhagavan Shankaracharya ji's Bhashya. So remember, what Bhagavan is wanting to tell here is, those people who are able to devote their life unto Bhagavan and who are able to do Karma Yoga, keeping remembrance of God, they will become Manishinaha. And others, those who do not do this, they are what? Phalahetavaha, as Bhagavan explained in the previous verses. Okay, we should not forget that. In the verse 49, when Bhagavan said, Kripanaha Phalahetava, they are what? Kripanaha. But these people who are based on Bhagavan and are able to do their action remembering and devoting unto God with the attitude of Karma Yoga, they are what? Buddhi Yukta. They are what? Manishinaha. So the difference in comparison is between who Phalahetavaha, who Bhagavan called Kripanaha, and Buddhi Yuktaha, who Bhagavan called Manishinaha. So these are the two levels Bhagavan is saying. And Kripana, for them Bhagavan, he said what? Durena hi avaram karma. Those people are the one the results they are achieving is far lower than the results achieved by the excuse me, the results achieved by this person who is doing the action with the attitude of Karma Yoga. Now let me go to the next portion of Bhagavan Shankaracharya's Bhashya. I wanted to spend some time on this. Now there is a very beautiful thing which Bhagavan Shankaracharya is bringing to our attention, and he is wanting to highlight something. Bhagavan Shankaracharya says, this word Buddhi Yoga, Buddhi Yuktaha, a word, since the topic which is going now, or currently prevalent topic which Bhagavan is picking it up, which has picked it up in these verses, is Karma Yoga. That is why we use this word Buddhi Yukta for those people who are equipped with the knowledge of Karma Yoga. But Bhagavan Shankaracharya wants to highlight one thing. He says, if you look at the topic, yes, what Bhagavan has picked up Karma Yoga, so contextually this word can mean Karma Yoga. See, but the reason I'm bringing in, please listen to it very carefully, okay? Don't get confused. I'm trying to bring up the side which Bhagavan Shankaracharya is wanting to highlight here. Bhagavan says, since the prevalent topic picked up by Bhagavan is Karma Yoga, we have translated this word Buddhi Yukta, or we have taken the meaning of this word Buddhi Yukta as the one who is equipped with the knowledge of Karma Yoga, or Karma Yoga Buddhi Yukta. Right? This is the meaning we have taken. But if you pay attention to the result which Bhagavan is talking about, what Bhagavan is talking about, Jahati Ubhe Sukruta Duskrute Jahati. First term which Bhagavan picked up, first result which Bhagavan picked up. Second word which Bhagavan picked up is that, second achievement which Bhagavan picked up is Karmajam Phalam Tyaktva Janma Bandha Vinirmuktaha. Becomes free from life forever. And then the third thing which Bhagavan used is Anamayam Padam Gachanti. If you look at these three results, then considering the result in mind, this word Buddhi Yukta should mean actually Sankhya Yoga Buddhi Yukta. The one who is equipped or who is possessed with the knowledge of Sankhya Yoga, means the knowledge of Supreme Consciousness. How? If you compare the result which Bhagavan is talking about, those results can be achieved only post one becomes realized with the knowledge of Supreme Consciousness. Those results don't seem to be the one which can be realized with Karma Yoga. Okay, that's why Bhagavan Shankaracharya says, I'll read that portion of Bhashya which I'm picking up now to explain you, and I'll take the meaning. Just pay a little bit attention. Please remember, the purpose is not to make you confused that Buddhi Yukta means what. Yes, till the time you have understood the entire Karma Yoga, because I told you one word which I started when I started the last session. I said the Sankhya Yoga or the Jnana Yoga or the knowledge of Supreme Consciousness is what? Sakshat Sadhan. Whereas the knowledge of Karma Yoga or Karma Yoga Buddhi is what? Parampara Sadhan. Paramparya Sadhan. We can call it that way. So one is a direct cause. Sakshat Sadhan means direct cause. So remember, the knowledge of Supreme Consciousness or realizing the Supreme Consciousness is the direct cause of freeing oneself from the birth and death. Whereas Karma Yoga is not a direct cause at all. Karma Yoga prepares oneself to reach the level of, gain the intellectual purity, to gain the knowledge of Sankhya. In that way, Karma Yoga also is a cause, but an indirect cause. When I say Parampara, just remember indirect cause. Indirect means, direct and indirect means one frees up directly. One frees up through different process, makes it reach to Sankhya, and from Sankhya it frees up. That way, Karma Yoga is also a cause, but it's an indirect cause. That's the meaning which Bhagavan is wanting to mention here. So I'll read that portion of Bhashya, which is in the, as part of the verse 51 itself. Bhagavan Shankaracharya says, Athava Buddhi Yoga Dhananjaya iti arabhya Paramartha Darshana Lakshana Eva Sarvata Samplutodak Sthaniya Karma Yogaja Sattva Shuddhi Janita Buddhihi Darshita Sakshat Sukruta Dushkruta Prahanadi Hetutva Shravana. Bhagavan Shankaracharya ji says Athava. Athava means you should understand it this way also. Athava means also. Why Bhagavan is bringing up here? You must understand it this way also. What Bhagavan Shankaracharya is saying? Buddhi Yoga Dhananjaya iti Arabhya. Where did Buddhi Yoga Dhananjaya come? In verse number 49. Buddhi Yoga Dhananjaya iti Arabhya means starting from the verse 49, where Bhagavan used this word called Buddhi Yoga Dhananjaya. Starting from there, iti Arabhya, Paramartha Darshana Lakshana Eva. Starting from that point, which is verse number 49, where Bhagavan used the word Buddhi Yoga Dhananjaya. From that point, starting from that till this point, which is where Bhagavan used Padam Gacchante Anamyam, till this point, what is that Bhagavan is meaning by this word Buddhi Yuktaha? Bhagavan says, by following the knowledge of Karma Yoga, or born out of the Buddhi which is following the Karma Yoga, born out of the intellect which is actually following the knowledge of Karma Yoga. What does it generate there? Karma Yogaja, born out of the intellect which is equipped with Karma Yoga. Sattva Shuddhi Janita Buddhihi. That intellect which has got Sattva Shuddhi, means got the purity of Sattva. Born out of the knowledge of Karma Yoga is what? The intellectual, the purity of Sattva, which is born in the Buddhi, which is born in the intellect. So, from this knowledge of Karma Yoga and following action equipped with this knowledge of Karma Yoga, what is born inside one's Antakarana? Sattva Shuddhi. The purity of Sattva is born in the intellect. Okay? Bhagavan says, which is like how, now I have to take you back to verse number 46. When Bhagavan uses this word Samplutodaka Sthaniya, where does this word Sarvata Samplutodaka come? It came in the verse number 46. I am reminding you the verse again to just bring you and highlight it here what Bhagavan means. Bhagavan said in the 46th verse what? Yavanartha udapane sarvata samplutodake. Here Bhagavan Shankaracharya is used what? Sarvata samplutodaka sthaniya. But Bhagavan is not using the verse here. Bhagavan is trying to explain pick up the meaning from that verse and explain it to you here what he means. What was the verse in 46? Yavanartha udapane sarvata samplutodake tavan sarveshu vedeshu brahmanasya vijanatah. And I'm just highlighting it back to bring it back to your memory. What Bhagavan said there was, like how small sources of water on whom people are dependent upon, when the main river basin recedes, or during the summer season, when the width of the river recedes, those small sources of water lose their utility once the river basin expands and these small sources of water are contained in them. In the same way, that person who has known the Brahman word was explained there as Brahma Janati ti Brahmana, not Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. If you recollect my explanation there, you will realize that person who has known the Brahman loses utility in all these kind of results which are explained by Veda. Veda means their Karma Kanda. I have explained that over there. So Bhagavan is bringing the same thing here. Sarvata Samplutodaka Sthaniya, which is like once this Sattva Shuddhi is born out of the intellect. If Sattva Shuddhi is born out of what? The knowledge of Karma Yoga, which has already happened in the intellect of such a person, with that thing, like the Sarvata Samplutodaka Sthaniya, because of all the kind of things which are in this world, loses their utility for such a person, Sarvata Samplutodaka Sthaniya. Why it loses the utility? Paramartha Darshana Lakshana Eva. Because this person loses the utility for everything. Why? Because this person has already got Paramartha Darshan. Paramartha Darshan means has already got the vision of the reality. Remember, the person who has got the vision of the reality, or the realized saint or realized master, just think what these petty paltry results and achievements of the life or the world will have a value for such a person. That person doesn't get bothered by these things at all. It loses utility, so to say. Paramartha Darshana Lakshana Eva. Since it is this way, that's why you need to understand. And Bhagavan says, Sakshat, Karma Yoga Sattva Shuddhi Janita Buddhi Darshita Sakshat Sukrita Dushkrita Prahanadi Hetutva. Such an intellect which has got the Paramartha Darshan means it's got the vision of the reality. Such an intellect which has known the reality, such an intellect which has established in the reality, such a intellect which has realized the reality, so to say. Such a person who has realized this reality, this Sattva Shuddhi, this Paramartha Darshan, and becomes the actual direct cause of Sukrita Dushkrita Prahanadi, of eliminating forever or destroying forever all kinds of Sukrita and Dushkrita ever for this person in life. That's why you must take Buddhi Yukta as with this meaning, that here Bhagwan is actually meaning with Buddhi Yukta what? Actually Sankhya Buddhi Yukta. So see, Bhagwan has taken from verse 49 on itself, 49, 50 and 51, they say, yes, you can take this word as, Bhagwan meaning that this particular, because the topic is Karma Yoga, Bhagwan is using this word as Karma Yoga. Why? Because Karma Yoga is ultimately going to hand over this person into Sankhya Yoga. The purpose of Karma Yoga is actually to prepare our Antakarana, our mind, ego, intellect and memory, to gain the purity of Sattva in such a way that our intellect is ready, becomes capable to receive the knowledge of the ultimate reality, ultimate truth. That is why you need to understand, even if you take Karma Yoga, it's okay, but you need to understand it's only an indirect cause. The direct cause of realizing this, direct cause of moving away from life, direct cause of actually making oneself free from this birth and death is actually going to be Sankhya Buddhi or Sankhya Yoga, or the actual knowledge of the Supreme Consciousness. So this Buddhi Yukta word should be taken as indicating actually Sankhya Buddhi is what is meant by this particular verse. Okay, and because as Bhagavan Shankaracharya meant that one which is going to free oneself from Sukrita and Dushkrita, means good deed and evil deed, is actually going to be Sankhya Buddhi. Why Sankhya Yoga is actually going to do? I'll give the comparison also for you to understand it better, why Bhagavan Shankaracharya is bringing it this way. Karma Yoga Buddhi, or the knowledge of Karma Yoga, does not destroy one's doership. It may make the doership weak. वो कर्तृत्व को शिथिल करने में सहायक है. शिथिल means it will make it weak. It will make the doership weak. It will weaken the doership. But Karma Yoga cannot destroy the doership. That's why Karma Yoga can be taken as a tool, as a sadhan for, making our doership weakened, making our doership weak enough so that it doesn't, get us into life with that kind of severity the way we are in our life today. Our doership is very severe today. Because doership is severe, our enjoyership is also severe. Doership is something which doesn't go. Doership becoming severe means what? Doership relates to who, by the way? Let me just bring it up only now, since I'm in this particular point. The strength of doership means the strength of ego. Doership is attached to ego, no? So, when Bhagwan says, Karma Yoga is going to weaken the doership, means Karma Yoga is going to make the doership weak enough but cannot actually eliminate the doership forever. And till the time doership is there, till that time, Sukrita Dushkrita, we cannot be free from Sukrita and Dushkrita. No, it's not possible. If the Bhokta Bhav or the attitude of me and being enjoyer is there, till that time Phalam Tyaktva cannot happen. Phalam means for who? For the enjoyer, no? The fruit of action is for who? For the doer. Till the time doership is there, enjoyership will definitely be there. So, Phalam Tyaktva cannot happen till the time, what? Till the time Kartrutva is there. Till the time Bhokta Bhav is there. How can you do Phalam Tyaktva? I told you in the last session, I highlighted this point. All of us want to give up what? The bad fruits or bad results which come to me of my own action. Isn't that our endeavor in our life? That let's be free from those bad results which come to us. Everyone is making an effort for that. But are we really able to do it? And I also brought one more point to you in the last session, that remember, in the normal management sense, or in the normal management world, they say the art is to achieve more. And I gave you one gross example also. It is being told to us that successful is the man who achieves much higher with less of effort. And that is one of the reasons why frauds and all have gone up also. Everyone wants double, triple, 4-time returns in a very short period of time. And then that will lead you into different things. Isn't that our endeavor now? Just think. So, what do you mean by actually buddhi yuktaha phalam tyaktva, karmajam phalam tyaktva janmabandha vinirmukta? Bhagwan is saying, Bhagwan Shankaracharya ji is actually bringing out this meaning. Sankhya Yoga must be taken as the meaning of the word buddhi yukta. Why? Because ultimately Sankhya Yoga, or the knowledge of Supreme Consciousness, is going to be the direct cause of freeing us from Sukrita Dushkrita, Karmajam Phalam and Janmabandha. The Vinirmukta of Janmabandha will happen only, once we have Sankhya Yoga. But why Bhagwan is bringing it up in the Karma Yoga? Because Bhagwan has already explained Sankhya Yoga from 11 to 38. Bhagwan already brought up. He had brought up the Kartrutva and the understanding of oneself in many different levels. 5 different levels Bhagwan spoke about, isn't it? Paramatma, the ultimate Atma, and the Jivatma, Dehatma, Kartrutva Atma. Bhagwan spoke about so many things, respective duties in the society, respective duties assigned by us from Vedas, as in the ashram vyavastha and all. So, the thing is karmajam phalam tyaktva in its ultimation, or Sukrita Dushkrita Jahati, can happen only after one gets the knowledge of Sankhya Yoga, or one gets the Sankhya Buddhi. That is what is Bhagwan meaning to explain. So we must think this way. Yes, you can take Karma Yoga Buddhi as the meaning of Buddhi Yukta till you understand this point, but you must also keep at the back of the mind that ultimately this is going to lead us into Paramartha Darshana Lakshana Eva, because it is going to lead us into what? Karma Yoga Sattva Shuddhi Janita Paramartha Darshana Lakshana Eva. We should take it this way. Karma Yoga Sattva Shuddhi Janita Buddhi Darshita Sakshat. What does it actually have a vision of? What does it actually ultimately see? Paramartha Darshan. It sees the ultimate truth of life. So we must say Yoga Buddhi is what? Parampara Sadhana. I said that in the last session also, but I am explaining it to you now. So understand direct cause of liberation and indirect cause of liberation. But if we think that we can and do something to reach the direct cause ourselves, not possible. We must make the effort through the indirect cause, because that is the sadhana for us to make us enjoy the ultimate path, which is the Sankhya Buddhi. So that's why the Yoga Buddhi, we must say that, as an indirect cause, this Yoga Buddhi, this Karma Yoga, in the intellect or knowledge of Karma Yoga, as an indirect cause, frees up from the bondage of life or bondage of birth and makes us achieve the Anamayam Padam, the ultimate level or state, as an indirect cause. It is not a direct cause at all. It is only a tool to make us enjoin unto the direct cause. In the next shloka, Bhagwan is bringing up a very, very beautiful point, very, very beautiful topic, that, when can you say that one's knowledge of Karma Yoga is paripakva? Paripakva means is ready to bear fruit. When can one say that I have reached the ultimate level of achievement of Karma Yoga? For that, the next verse comes. I will read the Sambandha, written by Bhagwan Shankaracharya before I read the next verse, which is verse number 52. Bhagwan Shankaracharya in his Sambandha Bhashya says, where he joins this verse with the next verse, he says, Yoga Anusthana Janita Sattva Shuddhija Buddhihi Kada Prapyate Iti Uchyate. Yoga Anusthana. You see, Bhagwan Shankaracharya's beauty. He will not leave any stone unturned to explain us the verse or the connection in entirety. Bhagwan Shankaracharya says, Yoga Anusthana Janita Sattva Shuddhija Buddhihi. That Buddhi, which is what? Which is consistent in practicing Karma Yoga, or consistent in, doing the practice or doing action with the knowledge of Karma Yoga. Yoga Anusthana Janita Sattva Shuddhija. See, the beauty is that, from that constant practice of Karma Yoga, or constantly doing the action with the knowledge of Karma Yoga, Sattva Shuddhija Buddhihi. That Buddhi, that intellect, which, in that intellect, where the pure or sattva is born on, Sattva Shuddhija Buddhi, in that intellect which is purified with sattva, when such an intellect, when such an intellect is achieved by a person, when such an intellect is attained by a person, what is the benchmark that a person has attained that kind of an intellect? What is the barometer? What is the measurement that I have achieved such a level of intellect? For that, Bhagwan is saying the next verse. The next verse, let's read the verse and we'll take the meaning. Bhagwan says, Yada te moha kalilam buddhir vyatitarishyati tada gantasi nirvedam shrotavyasya shrutasya cha. Yada te moha kalilam buddhir vyatitarishyati tada gantasi nirvedam Shrotavyasya Shrutasya Cha. What a beautiful verse. What a beautiful topic Bhagavan has brought up. Now another attached beauty I must bring up. The commentary which Bhagavan Shankaracharya ji has given on this verse is awesome. Is really out of the world. Bhagavan Shankaracharya ji has brought out such a beautiful commentary on this verse. It's unbelievable. What Bhagavan Shankaracharya ji says is adbhut. It's really, really awesome, so to say. I'll read the Shankaracharya ji's bhashya also, then we'll take the literal meaning and we'll see how much we can cover today in the session today. Bhagavan Shankaracharya ji says, Yada yasmin kale te tava moha kalilam mohatmakam aviveka rupam kalushyam yena atmanatma viveka bodham kalushi kritya vishayam prati antakaranam pravartate tattava buddhihi vyatitarishyati vyatikramishyati shuddhi bhavam apatshyate tyarthah tada tasmin kale gantasi prapsyasi nirvedam vairagyam shrotavyasya shutasya cha tada shrotavyam shrutam cha nishphalam pratipadyate iti abhiprayah. Let's see the literal meaning first of what Bhagavan Krishna, what Supreme Consciousness Bhagavan Krishna is wanting to bring out in this particular verse. I told you, understand this thing, that this is what Bhagavan is saying. Arjun, now remember one thing, when I say benchmark, don't use, whenever in spirituality we use the word benchmark, don't use it as a benchmark to, identify people outside, measure people outside, who has achieved what. No, this is not an external measurement at all. Bhagavan Krishna, Supreme Consciousness Bhagavan Krishna says, Arjun, when within you realize that you have reached this stage. What stage I'm going to bring out now? When Arjun, within you realize that you have reached this stage, understand that you have reached the pinnacle of achievement of Karma Yoga. You have reached the highest of result what could be given with Karma Yoga. You have reached the topmost result of Karma Yoga. Now, one more thing I want you to highlight. In Gita Ji, in Bhagavad Gita Ji, this is the structure of what a pure intellect will look like. This is the definition of pure intellect as per Gita Ji. Bhagavan, Supreme Consciousness Bhagavan Krishna, in this verse is giving us a barometer and measurement. How will you ascertain if your intellect has become pure enough? If your intellect has gained the purity, if your intellect is ready with purity to receive Sankhya, receive the knowledge of Karma Yoga. In Vedanta, we have a lot of Prakarana Granthas. Okay? We have got a lot of scriptures written by Bhagavan Shankaracharya ji himself, like Tattva Bodha, Atma Bodha. They are all Prakarana Granthas. They are all preparatory texts to prepare a sadhak, a seeker, to actually gain certain things before that sadhak is ready, before the seeker is ready to receive the ultimate knowledge of the self, which are expounded by our Upanishads. Okay, Gita Ji, the technique of Gita Ji is different. What Bhagavan in this text itself is going to explain to us how to reach that level also. So Bhagavan is giving every indication there itself. In Prakarana Grantha, it is said that one has to be sadhana chatushtaya sampanna adhikari. One should have these fourfold qualifications first before one becomes a student of actually Upanishad or becomes a student of spiritual studies, so to say. And there are four things it says in Tattva Bodha itself: Vivek, Vairagya, Samadhi, Shatka, Sampatti and Mumukshutvam. These are the fourfold qualifications which are brought out in our Prakarana Grantha. So when we as students go for studying Vedanta, our Acharya actually, he teaches us Prakarana Grantha for the initial few months, so to say, or maybe a year up to that point, depending upon how students take it up that way. So first, Prakarana Grantha is taught to us. Why? Because we have to prepare ourselves to receive that knowledge. Because I told you, the knowledge of self is actually very, very subtle. Very, very subtle. In Kathopanishad itself, in the Prathama Adhyaya, in Tritiyavali, in Mantra 12, Kathopanishad says, Esha sarveshu bhuteshu Gudatma na prakashate drishyate tu agraya buddhya sukshmya sukshmadarshini. This self, even though it shines forth in this entire creation, it is pervading in everything in this creation. But normal intellect are not able to see. I sent one message in the group also yesterday of Puja Maharaj Sri Swami Tapovanji Maharaj about exactly the same thing. I sent this message yesterday in the group where Bhagwan and Puja Maharaj Sri Swami Tapovanji says that this is how the whole creation needs to be understood. Maharaj Sri Swami Tapovanji says, God shines everywhere in stone and earth and water. But those who have not overcome their ego fail to find the resplendent one anywhere. You see, Upanishad also says the same thing in the mantra. Esha sarveshu bhuteshu. In this entire creation, Gudatmana prakashate. In this creation, that self shines forth, but it doesn't shine for everyone. It doesn't shine for everyone means not everyone is able to see that. Drishyate tu agraya buddhi. It's seen by only those who got a sharp intellect. Agraya buddhi, sukshmya sukshmadarshini. Such an intellect which has sharpened itself. It has become subtle in such a way that can grasp this subtle subject of this self. I told you when I was explaining the BMI chart in the last session, because of mind constantly being engaged with body, mind has also become gross, and associating with such a mind, the intellect has also become gross. A gross intellect cannot grasp subtle subjects. A subtle intellect only can grasp subtle subjects. And remember, I told you, Drishyate tu agraya buddhi, Kathopanishad is also saying the same thing. Thus, the supreme consciousness is the subtlest. Let's come back to the verse what Bhagavan is wanting to explain. Supreme consciousness, Bhagavan Krishna is wanting to explain. Yada, when Arjun, in your assessment of your intellect, when you realize that you have reached such a state, what is the state Bhagavan is saying? What is your internal identification, what Bhagavan is giving? What is the internal benchmark which Bhagavan is giving? And again I am highlighting, don't take this and go and assess outside. It's not for external assessment at all. Assessment of a sadhak or a seeker should only be done by a guru. Now, among sadhak also, our guru used to say it very clearly, don't sit down and try to pinpoint you are here, you are there. It's not an external assessment thing at all. It's not a progress report to be distributed by everyone. In a school and college also, progress report or the result is announced by one, the one who is authorized to do so, right? In the same way, a guru alone can say, Guru and God should only be doing it that, but an internal assessment benchmark Bhagavan is giving. If you are able to realize it this way, Arjun, you can think that you have reached that level of purity, what Karma Yoga is supposed to give you. You have reached the pinnacle of Karma Yoga. You have reached the result of Karma Yoga, which Karma Yoga is supposed to give you. What is that Bhagavan is saying? Yada te tava. Here just understand yada te means Yada te tava buddhi. Buddhi is picked up in the second quarter of that verse. Yadate moha kalilam buddhihi. So Bhagavan says, yadate tava buddhihi moha kalilam vyatitarishyati. Wow, what a beautiful line. When Arjun, you see that your intellect that has crossed over this dirty water or muddy water or this mud slush, either ways you can say it. In Hindi we'll use the word kichad. When you realize that your buddhi, your intellect has crossed over this mud slush or muddy water or kichad, what we call it, has crossed over, how will you determine that it has crossed over? Bhagavan Krishna, Supreme Consciousness Bhagavan Krishna beautifully says, when you cross over, what will you get there? Tada gantasi nirvedam. Nirvedam means vairagyam. Nirvedam means you have attained. Vairagyam means dispassion. When Arjun, your intellect, you realize that has crossed over this mud slush, this whole results and everything from this creation, the moharupi kalil. Moharupi kalil means this is a mud slush which is in the form of delusion, which is in the form of brahma, which is in the form of moha, which is in the form of attachment, which is in the form of desirefulness, moha. When your intellect has crossed over it, on the other shore of when you cross over, what will you attain? You will attain Gantasi Nirvedam. You would have reached where? Gantasi means you have reached. I told you, Padam Gantasi means you have reached there. You reached where? Vairagyam. You have reached a level of or a state of dispassion. Now this dispassion is not for 3-4 objects. That's not what the dispassion is Bhagavan is talking about. To explain that, Bhagavan has beautifully said this word. Which kind of a dispassion? Shrotavyasya shrutasya cha. Dispassion towards, every desire or every attachment or, every effort we do towards things in the world can be divided into two parts. One towards those which we have heard. Heard means which we have heard as level of achievement, which excites us even today, because we have heard them as achievement. Maybe in the world, maybe from people around us, maybe from maybe from scriptures also. In Karma Kanda also there are many levels of achievements which they talk about. And then others is Shrotavyasya cha, that which is which is what good enough to be heard about. Now I have to step back a little bit and explain you, but let me just pick up certain way to define this, picking up from different scriptures also. I just told you about Tattva Bodha. Tattva Bodha, this word is coined as Iha Mutrartha Phala Bhoga Viragaha. Vairagya is defined as Iha Amutra. Iha means that which is attained here. Amutra means that which is attained after life. After life means after death, in different lokas, Swargadi lokas. That's how Tattva Bodha puts it. Now, in Patanjali Yoga Sutra, there is one sutra in the first adhyaya, 15th shloka, where Maharshi Patanjali says the same word Maharshi Patanjali is explaining as Drishtanushravika Vishaya Vitrishnasya. He says use the word Drishtanushravika Vishaya Vitrishnasya. See? We can say it this way: Drishtanushravika Vishaya Vitrishna Vairagyam. Actually, Patanjali ji in his Yoga Sutra says Drishtanushravika Vishaya Vitrishnasya Vashikara Sanya Vairagyam. Vashikara Sanya. The one who has got a complete control over it. So, Drishtanushravika Vishaya Vitrishnasya Vashikara Sanya Vairagyam. This is what is said in Patanjali Yoga Sutra, 1st Adhyaya, 15th Shlok. Now, when we say, let's pick it up, and I've said this already, Drishtanushravik. Drishta means Iha. In Bhagwan and Krishna's word, it means Shrutasya. And Anushravik means Amutra, according to what Tattva Bodh says, the Prakarana Grantha Tattva Bodh says. And Anushravik means in Bhagwan Krishna's language, Shrotavyasya. Okay? Drishta means that which is heard. Drishta means actually seen. So, if seen doesn't mean only seen by our eyes. Seen means that which is comprehended by all our 5 senses. Seen also, heard also. That which I have heard. Heard from where? From people around me also. From our karmakand also. From what is popularly known in this world also. Anushravik means that which is Shrotavya. Shrotavya means that which is worthy of hearing. Worthy of hearing means what? One more way I'll use this, and it's a Vedantic definition and way how Vedanta and Sankhya defines. Sankhya means not this one, but Sankhyic people who define that, right, who writes definition on everything. Those people define this thing as one is Pratyaksha and another one is Paroksha. Pratyaksha means Akshan Prati, that which is comprehended by our 5 senses. That is what falls under this bracket of Shrutasya. And Paroksha means Akshan Para, that which is beyond our 5 senses, or that which is beyond the comprehension of our 5 senses. What is the proof of such things? Shastra. Swargadi Loka, which we call about. What are they talking about? Swargadi Loka. What is the pramana? What is the proof of them? Of scriptures. Heaven, hell, and then I just spoke about few minutes before about the another achievement of Brahma Loka, Vaikuntha Loka. Who will tell you that about that achievement? How do you achieve it and all? Shastra. The pramana or the proof for them, such kind of an achievement is scriptures. That is the only proof. That they are called as Paroksha. And that which is categorized by Bhagavan Sri Krishna in the category of thing which comes in Pratyaksha, or Bhagavan categorized by Bhagavan Krishna as Shrutasya is what? Pratyaksha. Whatever is Akshan Prati, whatever is comprehended by our 5 senses, they come under the category of Shrutasya. So that's what is meant by this particular verse when Bhagavan says, Arjun, when you have reached such a state that your mind, your intellect has crossed over the mud slush or the muddy waters of moha. Moha means the attachment, the kind of delusion, the kind of excitement, the kind of Brahma, the kind of the thing which you run after. It again and again makes you run after that. When your mind when your intellect has crossed over such thing, understand that you have reached the pinnacle of achievement, or you have become Siddha in Karma Yoga. You have established the Karma Yoga for yourself. You have established yourself completely in Karma Yoga, and it is ready to take you to the next level of Sankhya Yoga. That is what Bhagavan is meaning by this particular verse here. Now let's go to what the meaning of Bhagavan Shankara, what Bhagavan Shankaracharya is bringing up in his Bhashya. Yada, when, means what? Yasmin Kale, whenever. Te tava, means te means you, yours. What? Moha Kalilam. Now you see the beauty of Bhagavan Shankaracharya ji, the way he brings up here. Moha Kalilam, Bhagavan Shankaracharya ji is explaining as Mohatmakam Aviveka Rupam Kalushyam. Wow. This Mohatmakam, Moha means what? In the form of Moha, in the form of delusion is what? Aviveka Rupam Kalushyam. the muddy water in the form of what? Avivekam, aviveka rupam, in the form of ignorance. Ignorance of what? Ignorance what? That's not the ignorance of what we are calling about now. That a person who is educated in physics may not know the entirety of chemistry, or the person who's an engineer may not know the things about medical science. That is also an ignorance, but that's not what Bhagavan is talking about here. Ignorance be ignorance about the self, ignorance about the true nature of self. Aviveka rupam kalushyam. Yena, by which, now this is the thing which I would say, every seeker and every student must underline is, Atma Anatma Viveka Bodham Kalushi Kritya. What does it do? By this, what happens? Atma Anatma Viveka Bodham Kalushi Kritya. Now you see one word, which I'll use one word, which comes in Tattva Bodha itself. When I told about the fourfold qualification, I said the first word is Viveka. Viveka, Viveka, Atma Anatma Viveka, Viveka. The knowledge about the self and non-self. One who can clearly differentiate and identify between the self and non-self. One who clearly knows what is self and what is not self. And then further it says is Nityavastu Ekam Brahma. The only one thing which is permanent is actually Brahman. Brahman means the supreme consciousness. Rest everything is actually temporary, falls under the bracket of Anatma. Now that's the same word Bhagavan Shankaracharya is using here. Viveka means what? Wisdom. Wisdom is how it's translated in English. Wisdom means what? Not the worldly wisdom we are talking about. The wisdom here Bhagavan is talking about is the knowledge about the self, and clearly when one clearly is able to identify between what is self and what is not self, that is what is called by Atma Anatma Viveka Bodham. That kind of awareness, Kalushi Kritya, by suppressing that kind of Bodham, by covering that kind of awareness, is awareness of what? The knowledge of self and non-self, covering that kind of an awareness by what? Kalushi Kritya, dirtying it, covering it by Kichad or Moha Kalilam. But Bhagavan Shankaracharya is doing the Kalushi Kritya. Kalushi Kritya means by dirtying it, by covering it, by suppressing it. Now see the beauty of Bhagavan Shankaracharya. Vishayam prati antakaranam pravartate, and pushes this is internal equipment of our mind, intellect, ego and memory to act for the objects. Vishayan prati, act for the objects or run after the objects. Vishayan prati antakaranam pravartate, and makes this is internal equipment antakarana to run after the world of objects or run after the Einsteinian world of time, space and objects. See the beauty. Tattava buddhihi vyatitarishyati vyatikramishyati. Such an intellect, tattava buddhi, when such an intellect of yours, vyatitarishyati vyatikramishyati, crosses over. Crosses over means, vyatitarishyati means, Bhagavan Shankaracharya is translated as Shuddhi Bhavam Apatsyate iti arthaha, has attained the purity of intellect, purity of intent, purity of endeavor, purity of nature, purity of knowledge, that such kind of things or Vishayan prati pravartate, the nature or attitude or anything doesn't push my intellect into acting for the running after the world of objects. Just understand that is when you have actually reach the pinnacle of Karma Yoga and are ready to receive the knowledge of Sankhya. Tada tasmin kale gantasi. At that moment itself, at that very moment itself, prapsyasi nirvedam vairagyam. What you are going to get at that moment itself, the moment you cross over, or this thing, the moment you cross over to the other side of this kind of a moha kalila, this kind of a mud slush or muddy water of moha, the moment you cross over, prapsyasi nirvedam vairagyam, you will attain what? Nirvedam. Nirvedam means vairagyam. Now, one more thing I want to bring out. When Bhagavan says, you see, the 46th verse when I picked up, I said what? Tavan sarveshu vedeshu brahmanasya vijanata. That's the same meaning what Bhagavan is taking up here. At that time, whatever Veda expounds as the achievement and results, they lose their meaning. And if you remember, I spent a lot of time in explaining this word, this verse called what? 45th verse, when Bhagavan said Traigunya Vishaya Vedaha Nistraigunnyo Bhavarjuna Nirdvando Nitya Sattvastha Nir Yogatchema Atma. There also I mentioned this point. When Bhagavan says is Nir Yogatchema Nistraigunnyo, at that time also I said the kind of dispassion this person reaches or attains is not for 1, 2, 3 or 4 objects. It is for entire thing in this creation, whatever could be achieved, whatever is known to be achieved, and whatever is worthy to be, whatever is worthy enough to be known to be achieved. This person reaches a level of dispassion against all of them. Shrotavyasya shrutasya cha tada shrotavyam shrutam cha nishpalam pratipatyate iti abhipraya. That means for such a person, whatever results are heard and whatever results could be heard or are worthy to be heard, to be achieved, becomes fruitless, becomes, it loses the ability to drive this person into action, loses the ability to excite this person or push this person into action. That is what is meant by, what Bhagavan meant by this particular word, that, this person is going to achieve. And I told you, in the last, time also I told you, our actually intellect is suffering from a disease, suffering from something called, has got a bacteria, which actually forces us to run towards all these kind of objects. And Karma Yoga is what? An antibiotic for such kind of a behavior. Antibiotic is to resolve and cure us from such kind of a disease. The moment, which means what? The moment Yoga Buddhi is established in one person, that person automatically attains the kind of dispassion towards the object. Why I said, it's not a dispassion for 3-4 objects. I should bring this up also to explain you in a little bit detail that when a person loves sweets, okay, I'm talking about dispassion for 3-4 objects or the dispassion which is forced upon a person. A person loves sweets. Suddenly, this person is diagnosed with diabetes. I'm not talking about all of them. I'm talking about some of them though. This person is diagnosed with diabetes. Doctor says this diabetes is going to kill you if you don't control. This person, if he's wise enough, develops dispassion towards sweets. It's a temporary dispassion. Okay, it's a dispassion which is forced upon a person. It's not something which came out of the heart. Of course, he or she may have sat down and decided upon it, but it is coming out of another cause. That I don't want to die. It's coming from that fear. I don't want to die, that's why I will control this one. But the thing is, it's these kind of dispassion, these kind of examples of dispassion we all can see. Somebody's told something, don't do. Somebody's, somebody's been given a goal that you have to clear, JEE. I heard that JEE results were out just few days back, and so many people, so many students have achieved 100 percentile this time. I congratulate all of them and that they've reached that level. But just think at the back end, how many things those students may have given up to achieve this goal. So those kind of dispassions do keep coming and going in our life. But here Bhagavan is not talking about such a dispassion that it comes for some time and then goes away, or it's forced upon someone. This person has got dispassion for everything in this creation, whatever can be seen and heard about, and whatever are worthy of being seen and heard about. So this person has got the highest level of dispassion, nirvedam. That is what is Bhagavan, what is Bhagavan meaning by this particular verse. Means what? This person doesn't have any focus towards objects, worldly objects at all. This person's intellect is constantly engaged in doing bhajan of Bhagavan, remembrance of Lord, and nothing in this world is capable to shake this person from that level or move this person from that level of doing, devoted in God. This person is constantly engaged in that. Meaning what? This person is constantly residing with God in his intellect. In his or her intellect. There is nothing which has got the capability to create a disturbance or move this person from that level. When such a person has reached this kind of a state, understand that is what is the pinnacle of a pure intellect. That is what the definition of a pure intellect is. Meaning that nothing perturbs this person. He has achieved what needs to be achieved, can easily move into Sankhya, has got that achievement, which is what Bhagavan is driving all of us for. Bhagavan. So from this verse, understand what level Bhagavan wants us to work towards. So our measurement should be what? Where we are today. Constantly engage in assessing yourself. Never lose a chance to assess yourself. Your competition is actually with you yourself alone. Your endeavor should be what? To become a better version of you versus what you were yesterday. Constantly work on your improvement. Trust me, it pays. And what it pays, nothing else can pay. Not even money can pay to you. On that note, we'll complete the session for today. We'll see the rest in the next session. कायेन वाचा मनसेन्द्रियैर्वा बुद्ध्यात्मना वा प्रकृते स्वभावात् करोमि यद्यत् सकलं परस्मै नारायणायेति समर्पयामि श्रीमन्नारायणायेति समर्पयामि। ओम पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ओम शांति शांति शांति। हरि ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। हरि ओम तत्सत्।